evening and welcome to Season 2 of Sheffield Poetry TV. So cool because we already did a Season 1 and that was made in Sheffield. It was all about poetry and you watched it on your TV. Now, regular viewers know that amongst the many wonderful poets performing their poems in their natural setting, a club, a pub, on stage, from time to time we also gave you a whole new way of looking at poetry. Poetryvision. Yes, the startling new technical innovation in poetic performance. Basically, you remember, we thought, why waste the bits at the side of the screen? So we put the camera on its side, and if you lay down, you'd see all of the poet performing their poem. Yeah, so simply lie on your sofa now or turn your laptop on its side to achieve the full Poetryvision experience. Remember though, if the poet appears upside down, there is a fault, but do not adjust your settee. You're simply lying down the wrong way round. Landscape? What landscape? This is portrait, a portrait of the poets reciting their poems. First up, here's a poem about work, or more specifically, the avoidance of it. After all, it was Oscar Wilde who said that work is the curse of the drinking classes. And like Mike the Cool Person, one of the eponymous characters from that classic TV comedy series The Young Ones, like Mike said, if you're going to sin, be original. So here's Andy Owen Cook saying, as I understand it, that if you're going to fail, well, you may as well fail in style.
This is a short guide to not getting a job. Raise your expectations. In your CV, make use of funky fonts like Comic Sans and Wingdings. When attaching it, be sure to name it something eye-catching like virus.exe. Imply that it would be unwise to ignore your emails, maybe even dangerous. During interviews, you may feel reticence. That's okay. Allow it to manifest in your voice and posture. Or liven things up with some footsie. Everybody likes footsie, just remember to wear socks. Why not experiment with your handshake? Try false hands, licking, or shouting, "The Bone Crusher!" Demonstrate a really good work-life balance. If your phone goes off, answer it. Answer it like this, "Wah there!" Alternatively, hold it to your head and blink regularly as if receiving a message of some kind. When asked if you have any questions, say, "I know everything I need to know." Alternatively, ask if they know why you woke up on a golf course this morning, wearing this woman's necklace. Ask if they recognise the necklace. Say you hope they don't. When asked why you want the position, merely stare at the floor. Remain motionless like this until someone says your name, and then look up, swallow hard, and say how you just love the marketing of processed animal mulch. It won't matter if the job is or isn't in the marketing of processed animal mulch. By this stage, nothing much will matter at all. And anyway, you'll have found yourself grabbing the most expensive thing in the room, a laptop, a stapler, the CEO's tie, and you will find yourself running down a flight of stairs. The object clutched against your chest, you'll be running so fast it is as if you've never run in your entire moment up until this, running like a child caught in torrential rain. There will be a door ahead of you, and soon you'll be free. Thanks for coming in. You'll hear from nobody in a week.
The Bone Crusher! Ha! Put it there. Now, if you're familiar with Welsh mythology and you have a passing acquaintance with tarot cards, you'll probably be able to work out what the next poem means. However, if neither of these things mean much to you, then like me, you'll benefit from Rob the poet's explanation. Apparently, this is a poem about the way in which a new relationship with someone is shaped by the last relationship they were in, I think.
Did they weave a woman, a wife for him, winding thin stems on a sturdy stone table? Muttering magic, make legs, make midriff, make arms from lily stalks lain awkwardly down to draw dainty cuffs from the tepals. string the stamina into fragile fingertips flowering in Catholic white? Did they whittle Sweet William down to be the pale pinkish pads under toenails, deadhead red dianthus, neck carnations for her nipples, craft eyes from impossible pale poppies, red roses for her cheeks, dark tulips for her hair? Did they weave a wife, a woman for him, whispering incantations in late answer to his prayer he thought they had? Bound her in a bed, picked her petals to pieces, paired, plucked out new colours, drew calendars, loamy soil for the roses and wire enclosures. And then, autumn. He stood stock still to see the teasels and the nettles, the burnet and the knapweed, the yarrow and the campion spilling themselves sunward as she walked away like a shadow from sunlight. Did they weave a woman from the flowers? No. I wait with my cards, the magician, the fool, less real than a dandelion's bristles, bewitched by wild orchids, and the thorn, and the thistle.
The next poem is a favourite of mine, but the version you're about to see is missing some classic lines, including the one, "Why is it cool that she's good at golf?" So you'll have to catch Sarah Thomasin doing this poem live sometime. But think now, at school, were you in with the in crowd? And if you weren't, did that set you on a lifelong path of non-conformity? And if it did, was that really a bad thing? Otherwise, you might be sat in a clubhouse now, having just played a round of golf. Phew, that was close.
I can't stop thinking about Amanda. I haven't seen her since 1995. I don't even know if she's still alive, but I can't stop thinking about her. Icy pale baby blue eyes and perfectly sculpted curls of blonde hair, and a school uniform that looked like a school uniform you'd wear to a school disco themed club night, not an actual school disco or an actual school, unless it was North Yorkshire in 1993 and you were the nearest thing for miles to cool. And I can feel her giving me the once-over, of giving me the up and down appraisal of my wrong length hair and my wrong length skirt and my wrong size shoes, my wrong size boobs and the wrong expression on my face, and I brace for the judgment and she says, "You're gormy." And inside my head I'm thinking, well actually she's sort of right, because what she means is gormless, but that would mean there was nothing going on behind my eyes, but actually there's too much going on behind my eyes. Like, how does she get her makeup like that every single morning? And why does her hair stay like that? And if she turned her upside down, would her hair still stay like that? And none of this can come out, and none of it can be said, because even if the words didn't trip over my tongue on the way out, if I spoke back to Amanda or Joanne or Chantel or any of them, I'd be dead. And I realise my face is doing it again. Deer in headlights, dazed and confused. I look gormy. And so when you see me in the pub or in the street or anywhere and you say something nice or something funny or something kind and I just stand and stare, and you start to wonder if I've even seen you or if I know you or if I realise that you're there, it's because inside my head certain responses that I could possibly make to that are being filtered out, and then a tangent has to be followed up, and then I'm managing my self-doubt, and then I'm realising everything that I ever got wrong, and then I'm taking stock of my life and I know it's taking too long, and then I realise that I've left the silence too long, and suddenly I'm not there at all. I'm in a technology lesson in North Yorkshire in 1993, just Amanda and me, and she says, "You're gormy."
Now, Mrs. Davis and I sometimes engage in philosophical conjecture about time travel. And the conversation usually goes a bit like this. So if sometime in the future they invent a machine so we can travel back in time, then this would be a really impressive moment to materialise, wouldn't it? Ah, well, maybe next time. But poems can travel in time, so here's Addy P. Abbott sending one into the future for his son.
I write this letter at an age where I'm supposed to know better, where I'm supposed to be clever, where I'm supposed to be smart. Intelligence dictates that for me to enjoy the gift of the future, my past is where I should start and I should ignore the present. For now I'm flowered with a love that's been rooted in thorns. Smiles no longer warm my soul, but scorch my feet through a stride of hypocrisy, and a laughter that pierces my ears like horns. I rose to be a liar, forgetting to stand up for what I believe in, meaning morals and values were no longer intriguing. Faith was just not worth believing. Yet I swore I was always doing right. Success never left. She just succeeded in deceiving. Misdirection became misleading, engaging me in a polygamy that centered on me cheating, that told me that my love should be shared. So why from the ladies of the world my secret I was keeping? I never knew I needed to be shielding. You see, I write this letter at an age where I didn't know any better. I didn't comprehend weather, didn't realize I was subject to the rain, predicating my sentence but never changing my story. For the novelty of hypocrisy meant there was never sincerity in me saying, hey, I'm sorry. Never good wishes in a wave, never camaraderie in an embrace, for compassion had long drifted. Chivalry had long been martyred, and the blood of love had been tie-dyed into religion, where for respect, sacrilege had been bartered. You see, feelings became colors. Colors distinguish races. Races raised racists. Men of love became sadists. Spontaneity raised rapists. Premature deaths became the latest. The basis, where envy breathed life into a generation, and our heartfelt comments are now painted by pop stars and icons, the so-called greatest. I love you, baby, YOLO. You see, I write this letter to the age where I hope things are better, where things are clearer, where society remembers not how to smile with a heart as cold as a Sheffield December, because I remember all a little too well. And I pray you don't drown in the search to quench your thirst, for remedies to cleanse your heart and remove the hurt. Ash to ash, dust to dirt. Understand love, but understand worth. For as I write this letter, I aim to show you to be earnest, targeting the good in people. Take shots to raise the bar, not just crowd it, crown it. And the irony is, I'm writing to myself, for the ink of my past leaks onto the pages of my future, but not affecting my present. For the gift that you are, my future son, a young lion, is one treasure that I will never regret. For who you are now is who I once was, once upon a time, too.
Now, I don't know where you're watching this show. Although it goes out in the South Yorkshire region on Virgin Media 159 and Freeview Channel 8, thanks to the World Wide Web, you could be watching it anywhere on sheffieldlive.org or at any time using the catch-up function on Vimeo. But if you're watching it in Sheffield, it's possible that, like me, you came here to go to college or university and you never left. And that might be something to do with what Joe Chris is talking about in his next poem.
There are days where I didn't know where I was going. Took the waterproof hung behind the cellar door, cut ham sandwiches, counted the change in my pocket and closed the front door. It isn't always clear what you look for, but you always know what you found. Sometimes you have to escape the city and return to minding your steps on old rocks across the moor. Return to your feet. Return to recognise your shadow out of the sun. Then imagine how ice once split bricks and rolled with rocks as big as houses down Mam Tor. Return to feeling ancient. Return to feeling newborn. Return to not holding each of your responsibilities in your fingertips and let them drip through your hands like rain. Return to not doubting yourself. There is nothing greater or smaller to compare yourself with than Mother Cap or the pay slip you try to ignore each month. Forget the illusions you dress yourselves with. Leave them at door. Because from here you can summon the best parts of yourself. Feel its grit, its real, the same way you feel the sun in your palm or your heart pulsing in your head. Return to the peaks to discover which part of yourself you haven't been listening to, and then forgive yourself for it. But only return if you mean it. Only return if it's your truth, if the words come tumbling out of your throat. Because for the first time, in a long time, you listened to yourself thinking, and it felt true.
Now, there's a saying quoted by various military men and poets and supposedly attributed to Plato. And the saying is that only the dead have seen the end of war. Well, whoever said it, the implication is that war, and therefore poems about war, will be with us for some time to come. So here's Chesterfield poet Matt McAteer with his poem written from the perspective of the widow of a volunteer killed in the Spanish Civil War.
I didn't know you were dead until I saw the letter the brigade sent to your father that said you died for a cause that you loved. That cause wasn't me. Well, I'm still here with my second choice and he'll stay, but I still hear your voice. You had to go away, what's so bad about here? And when I look at my children, I won't see you in their faces, but I still remember the places that you and me once held dear. Before principles meant everything more than love, but they wilt and then over time become compromised, get mixed up with guilt and with lies. People's actions rarely live up to their ideals. So did you love La Passionara more than me and the streets that you came from, the people that made you? Did your comrades hold tight to their pillows and cry in their sleep? They said you are legend, they said you are history, but I don't know how you felt or if you ever missed me. Did the romance bleed from your body as you lay in that field? They will remember a mass of people, pray for them next to a cross and a steeple, but I only remember you, and I just see your name on a plaque that people walk past and don't notice.
Well, finally this week, here's a poem from me. Attentive viewers amongst you will realise that Season 1 of Sheffield Poetry TV featured precisely 0 poems by yours truly because, well, because I had other things to do, like, getting on with producing the show. Anyway, early this year, while we were filming some other poets in the studio, I took the opportunity to film one of my own. It's what I call a Frankenstein poem. So it's sewn together from the bits of other poems I've written. So far as I can gather, it's a poem about performing poetry. With the voodoo doll of a hipster poet, I will stick pins in poetry as we know it. 'Cause I slept in a bat cave by a jukebox project. I came from nowhere and I'm not going back yet. For I have seen the ghost of Amy Winehouse on every London woman's face. Exotic birds strut pavements, chasing heartbreak place to place. Beehives, bra straps, bally pumps, bags, cuts on arms, phones, North London tones, fags. And tomorrow I could kill myself, but I would miss the warm touch of my wife in bed. It don't get better than this. I cannot bear to carry on, I cannot bear more souls than one. I care not where I'll lie, stiff and curled. Farewell, cool world. So with the voodoo doll of a hipster poet, I will stick pins in poetry as we know it. 'Cause I've seen films and I've read books, and now my mind is a broth spoilt by too many cooks. If you want money, climb a tree, that's where they grow it, but it won't bring you happiness. How do they know it? For to get clapped off strong when your words made noise, arranged in lines about girls who meet boys, you must pop your heart inside a plastic bag. Pulse rising past 100, your muses playing tag. Stutter a couple of lines, lips, hair and collar curl. Step in from the evening, kiss the runaway girl. But she's no voodoo doll for your hipster poet. It ain't what you're feeling, it's how you show it. Smoke it if you've got it, that's why they grow it. You take your every chance and sometimes you'll blow it. But if you never try it, you will never know it. And stick pins in the dolls of all those hipster poets. So, there you go. Join us again next week and every week, Mondays at 10 p.m. on Sheffield Live TV or whenever you can get round to it on Vimeo. we'll be sticking pins in poetry as we know it in the nicest possible way. Good night.